The Alpha King sent his entire army to capture one girl. She stood alone under the moon. Then the moonlight formed a shield around her. And what awakened next terrified even the king himself. The forest held its breath under a pale, watchful moon. Cold mist clung to the ground and soaked the hem of her dress. She felt the damp earth through her bare feet. Every step pressed a quiet ache into her bones. Behind the trees, metal scraped against metal. The Alpha King army moved as one body. Armor whispered. Boots crushed leaves that still smelled of rain. She tasted iron in the air. Her heart struck her ribs like a trapped bird. When she reached the clearing, the moon rose higher. Silver light spilled across her skin. The soldiers burst from the shadows. Torches flared, throwing wild shapes across their faces. A horn sounded once, sharp and cruel. Her ears rang from the force of it. She raised her eyes and saw the king crest on their shields. Power pressed down on her chest. Fear crawled along her spine. The first arrow screamed toward her throat. The moonlight moved, bent, thickened like liquid glass. The arrow struck the air and shattered. Fragments burned and vanished before touching her skin. A low gasp rolled through the soldiers. She felt warmth wrap around her arms. The light hummed, alive and watching. Another volley flew. The shield flared brighter, forcing her eyes to sting. The ground trembled beneath marching feet. The Alpha King stepped forward, his shadow stretching unnaturally long. His gaze cut into her like frost. The moonlight answered with a pulse that shook the clearing. Trees groaned. Torches died. Darkness swallowed every sound except her breathing. The shield tightened, pressing against her ribs as something ancient began to awaken inside her. Her breath echoed inside the glowing barrier. Each inhale tasted sharp like winter air. The moonlight sank into her skin. It slid beneath her flesh and wrapped around her bones. Pain flared slow and deep. Not the pain of a wound. The pain of something changing shape. The Alpha King lifted his hand. The army froze. Silence pressed harder than any shout. Her ears throbbed from it. She felt watched from every direction. Not only by soldiers, by the trees, by the stones, by the moon itself. The shield pulsed again. Images flashed behind her eyes. A white hall carved from light. A crown floating above an empty throne. Blood soaking into silver sand. She staggered, knees weak. The shield held her upright. The king spoke her name. His voice crawled across the clearing. It carried hunger. It carried fear. She had never heard him sound unsure before. His armor reflected the moon, but the light bent away from him. He took one step closer. The ground cracked beneath his boot. The shield reacted. Light sharpened into edges. Invisible pressure slammed into the front line of soldiers. Men cried out as they were thrown backward. Metal screamed. Shields shattered. She flinched at the sound. Her hands trembled. The light followed the movement of her fingers. Obeyed. Realization struck harder than fear. She tried to pull her hand back. The shield tightened instead. A low vibration rolled through her chest. Felt like a second heart. It beat slower than her own. Older. The Alpha King drew his blade. Moonlight slid along its edge and recoiled. His eyes burned gold. The air grew heavy. Breathing became work. Her vision blurred at the edges. Sweat ran cold down her spine. She smelled smoke. Not from torches. From the ground itself. The earth beneath the shield began to glow. Symbols surfaced in the soil. Ancient lines. Broken circles. Marks she had seen only in dreams. The army whispered her title. Voices trembled as they spoke it. She pressed her palms against the inside of the shield. Felt warm. Felt alive. It pushed back against her touch. The moon climbed higher. Shadows twisted into unnatural shapes. Some did not match the bodies that cast them. A scream rose from the far edge of the clearing. One soldier collapsed, clutching his eyes. Light leaked from between his fingers. He gasped. The shield flared brighter in response. Her pulse raced. Fear thickened in her throat. She did not want this. The thought echoed and vanished. The second heart ignored her. The Alpha King shouted an order. Mages stepped forward. Their staffs glowed red and blue. Heat slammed into the shield. Cold followed. The clash made her teeth chatter. The barrier held. Cracks spread through the air like broken glass. She screamed as sound vanished completely. Silence swallowed her voice. Pressure crushed inward. Her vision narrowed to the Alpha King face. His lips moved. She felt his words inside her skull. Command. Demand. Ownership. Something inside her snapped. The second heart surged. Moonlight erupted outward. Trees bent until their trunks split. The mages were lifted from the ground. Their staffs disintegrated midair. She dropped to her knees. The shield lowered with her. Pain exploded through her spine. Not breaking. Rearranging. Her shadow stretched across the clearing. Did not look human. Gasps rippled through the army. Some soldiers backed away. Others fell to their knees. The Alpha King did neither. He smiled. That terrified her more than the army. Blood trickled from her nose. It floated upward instead of falling. The moonlight absorbed it. The symbols in the ground spun slowly. A deep sound rolled up from below. Like stone grinding against stone. Her ears rang again. She clutched her head. Memories flooded in that were not hers. Battles under a black sky. Crowns breaking in half. A woman screaming her name as the moon went dark. Tears burned her eyes. They turned silver as they fell. The shield shrank suddenly. It pressed against her skin. She felt ribs strain. Breath came shallow and fast. The Alpha King raised his blade high. Moonlight recoiled. For the first time the shield hesitated. Fear surged. Cold washed over her hands. The second heart slowed. Each beat dragged. The clearing leaned inward. Trees creaked. The ground cracked wider. From the fissures, Pale light bled upward. Whispers rose with it. Thousands of voices, all speaking at once, all speaking her name. Her name rolled through the clearing like a living thing. It pressed against her ears. It pressed inside her skull. She screamed, but no sound escaped. The whispers grew louder. They carried grief. They carried rage. They carried memory older than the forest itself. The fissures widened beneath her knees. Light poured out like breath from the earth. It wrapped around her ankles. It climbed her legs slowly, cold at first, then burning. Her muscles locked. Her fingers curled into the glowing soil. She felt every grain vibrate. The Alpha King lowered his blade slightly. For the first time, doubt crossed his face. The moonlight above flickered. Clouds twisted into sharp spirals. The night sky seemed closer, heavy, touching. The army shifted uneasily. Armor rattled without command. Some soldiers dropped their weapons. Steel struck stone and rang too loudly. The sound cut into her head. Her vision doubled, tripled. She saw the clearing layered over itself. One forest, then another, then ruins where trees once stood. Bodies lay frozen in silver ash. Crowns lay broken among roots. Her breath hitched. She recognized the place. Not from life. From inheritance. The whispers surged again. They pushed words into her chest. Please, remember. And him. Her heart slammed painfully. Both hearts. The second heart throbbed with violent purpose. Her spine arched. Light burst from her back in jagged lines. The shield cracked outward. Not breaking. Expanding. Soldiers nearest to her were thrown back again. They skidded across the ground like fallen leaves. The Alpha King planted his feet. Power radiated from him in waves. Gold clashed against silver. The air screamed. Her ears bled. Warm liquid ran down her neck. She tasted copper. The moonlight hardened. It shaped itself around her arms. Around her shoulders. She felt weight settle onto her body. Invisible armor. Too heavy. Too intimate. He shook, teeth chattering. Fear mixed with something darker. Pull toward violence. Toward certainty. The Alpha King spoke again. This time aloud. His voice shook the trees. He named her as property. As weapon. As mistake that needed correction. The words struck harder than any blade. Pain flared behind her eyes. The whispers howled in response. The ground beneath the king cracked. A ring of light rose around him. He laughed once. Short, dark, defiant. The sound scraped her nerves raw. Her shadow rose behind her. It peeled itself from the ground. Elongated. Crowned with horns of pale light. Gasps turned into screams. Several soldiers fled into the trees. The forest did not open for them. Branches twisted shut. Roots surged up like grasping hands. She felt it happen. Not by choice. By instinct. Horror flooded her chest. This was wrong. This was too much. Her thoughts scattered. The second heart beat louder. Faster. It drowned out her fear. demanded alignment. The moonlight descended further. It poured into her mouth as she gasped. Her throat burned. Her voice changed. A low sound escaped her lips. Not a scream. All. The fissures answered. Shapes began to rise. Forms made of light and shadow. Broken faces. Eyes. Crowned skulls. Ancient sentinels. They circled the clearing slowly. Each step cracked stone. The Alpha King tightened his grip on his blade. His confidence fractured. Only for a moment. Then resolve hardened his features. He raised his free hand. Sigils flared around his fingers. The moon dimmed. A gasp tore from her chest. The second heart stuttered. Pain exploded behind her sternum. She collapsed forward. The armor of light cracked. Shards fell upward into the sky. The whispers turned sharp. Angry. Accusing. Her vision blurred again. The sentinels faltered. Their forms flickered. The Alpha King stepped closer. Each step pushed back the moonlight. The ground blackened beneath his boots. Heat rolled toward her. Her skin prickled. Her breath came in ragged pulls. She tried to crawl away. The ground pulled her back. The light wrapped around her wrists, holding, guiding, forcing her to face him. He stood at the edge of the fading shield. So close she could see the scars beneath his helm. So close she could feel his power grinding against hers. He reached out. The moonlight screamed. The sentinels roared as one. The forest shook violently. Trees split open. Roots tore free from the earth. The sky flashed white. Her body lifted off the ground. Pain consumed everything. Her bones felt molten. Her thoughts burned away. Only sensation remained. Like pressure. The second heart burst into a blinding rhythm. Each beat sent shockwaves through the clearing. The Alpha King staggered back. Blood spilled from his mouth. Gold dimmed around him. He roared in fury. The sentinels surged forward again. Their forms sharpened. More fissures opened. More voices rose. The moon blazed brighter than before. Too bright to look at. Too bright to ignore. Her shadow spread across the forest. Across the army. Across the Alpha King himself. And deep within her chest, something ancient fully opened its eyes. Ancient awareness flooded her veins like rising tidewater. It pressed against her ribs. It filled the hollow places behind her eyes. The world slowed. Every movement stretched thin and sharp. She felt the air scrape across her skin. She felt the tremor inside each stone. The Alpha King's shadow writhed as her shadow passed over him. Gold light flickered around his armor. Cracks spidered across the sigils he had summoned. He planted his blade into the earth to stay upright. The ground screamed as metal pierced it. Her body remained suspended, not held, claimed. Moonlight poured through her spine and out of her crown. Her hair lifted as if submerged in water. Strands turned pale, almost translucent. Her heartbeat no longer matched her body, matched the sky. Each pulse echoed between the stars. The sentinels halted in a perfect ring. They bowed, not to her body, to what moved inside her. The whispers changed tone. No longer pleading, no longer enraged. They became instructional, precise, cold. Her breath stuttered as knowledge forced itself into place. She saw laws written into moon cycles. She saw bloodlines etched into constellations. She saw her own birth ripple outward through time. The forest trembled beneath the weight of revelation. Leaves curled inward. Bark split along glowing seams. The Alpha King pushed himself upright. Defiance burned behind his eyes. Fear followed close behind. He spoke words older than his crown. The air resisted. Sound fractured. His spell staggered and twisted. Moonlight intercepted it, bent it, fed it back into the ground. A shock wave rolled outward. Soldiers were flung like broken dolls. Armor tore free from flesh. The smell of scorched earth thickened. Her lungs burned with it. She gagged as light flooded her throat again. Her voice emerged layered. One tone human. Many tones beneath it. The sound vibrated through bone. The sentinels responded. They stepped forward together. Each footfall carved symbols into the soil. The Alpha King roared and charged. His blade burned white. Heat lashed against her skin. The moonlight recoiled violently. Pain ripped through her chest. Her body convulsed midair. The second heart slammed hard. Faster, faster. It forced energy outward in a violent surge. The sentinels shattered into fragments of light. Shards tore through the clearing. Trees disintegrated. Stone melted. Her scream fractured into echoes that never faded. The Alpha King skidded backward. His armor split along the seams. Gold bled out and vanished. He dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Burning eyes locked on her. Hatred mixed with recognition. Recognition burned deeper. The moon dimmed again. Clouds raced across its face. Shadows surged back. Cold rushed in. Her body dropped. She hit the ground hard. The impact drove air from her lungs. Stars burst behind her eyes. The shield collapsed inward. Light sank into her skin violently. It branded itself into muscle and bone. She clawed at the earth. Dirt filled her mouth. Her fingers bled. The whispers returned at once. Louder. Closer. They pressed against her mind like hands. Rise again. Hold the line. Do not yield. Her muscles shook. Her strength wavered. The Alpha King dragged himself to his feet. Each movement left scorch marks. He laughed again. Lower now. Unsteady. He raised his broken blade. The edge flickered. Still lethal. Still hungry. He advanced step by step. Every step dimmed the moon further. The forest groaned in protest. Roots snapped. Branches fell. Her vision tunneled. Blood roared in her ears. The second heart faltered. Its rhythm stuttered. Panic surged. She pressed her palm to her chest. The light beneath her skin flared weakly. Not enough. The Alpha King towered over her. His shadow swallowed her completely. Heat radiated from his armor. It burned her cheeks. He lifted his blade high. The moon vanished behind cloud. Darkness slammed down. The whispers screamed. Her shadow moved on its own. Surged upward. It wrapped around his arm. He roared as frost crawled across his armor. Silver veins spread. He staggered. She gasped and rolled aside. The blade struck where her head had been. Stone exploded. Fragments tore into her back. Pain flared white. She cried out. The sound pulled moonlight from behind the clouds. A single beam pierced the clearing. It struck her chest directly. The second heart ignited. Her body arched violently. Light burst outward again. Not wide. Focused. A spear of moonfire slammed into the Alpha King. He was thrown backward through shattered trees. The impact shook the forest floor. Silence followed. Heavy. Unnatural. Her body collapsed. She lay gasping. Moonlight flickered weakly across her skin. The whispers murmured urgently. Incomplete. Unfinished. Danger still moving. Her fingers twitched. Her vision swam. The forest creaked around her. Something massive shifted in the darkness beyond the clearing. Footsteps echoed. Low. Deliberate. More presences pressed against the edge of the moonlight. Watching. Waiting. And deep beneath the earth, the ancient power inside her continued to stir, restless and unsatisfied. The footsteps stopped at the edge of the clearing. The watching presences hesitated. Moonlight steadied its glow. Measured. The whispers inside her lowered their voices. Not silent. Respectful. She pushed herself onto one elbow. Pain answered, but it no longer ruled her. The second heart slowed. Its rhythm aligned with her breath. The forest began to mend. Broken roots eased back into soil. Cracked stone sealed itself with pale seams. Fallen leaves lifted and settled gently. The Alpha King did not rise again. His shattered armor lay empty among the ruins. Gold light faded into nothing. No crown remained. No command lingered. Only quiet. She sat up fully. Moonlight withdrew from her skin and returned to the sky. Warmth remained beneath her ribs. Not burning. Watching. She stood unsteadily. The ground held firm beneath her feet. The shadows retreated to their rightful shapes. The sentinels dissolved into drifting sparks. Each spark rose and vanished among the stars. The whispers spoke once more. Clear. Final. Guard the balance. Walk unseen. Remember who you are. The second heart folded itself into her own. Its presence softened. Not gone. Waiting. She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, the forest looked ordinary. Moonlight filtered gently through leaves. Night insects resumed their song. The clearing bore no sign of battle. Only a woman standing beneath the moon. She turned away from the place of ruin. Her steps left no marks behind. Above her, the moon shone calm and whole. Below it, the world breathed again. And the power that once shook kingdoms chose silence, resting within her as she disappeared into the living dark.